9:16 on your Monday morning here at the Morning Show with Jeff and Will, AM 1700 WRCR, Haverstraw, WRCR.com. Filling in for Will this morning in the ever-capable hands of Carrie Potter. This show is being guided. Thank you very much, Carrie, again for joining us this morning. It's always good to drag you out of your house in the wee hours of the morning to get you to do the show one of these days. Just bask in my glow. Why don't you? Here we go. And on our newsmaker line, as always, as she joins us on a Monday morning, it is Tina Traster of the Rockland County Business Journal. Good morning, Tina. How are you?
Good morning, Jeff. Good morning, Carrie. Is this a birthday hangover?
It's an extended birthday vacation, really. Yeah.
All right. Why not?
It's not even like a milestone birthday. It's his 23rd.
Oh.
What does that even mean anywhere? Nothing.
You know how special we were when we were in our 20s.
I'm still special in my 50s. I love celebrating everything, so it's all good.
That sounds good. Well, good morning, Rockland County. A little foggy on the mountain where I am. So sadly, last week we know that there was a terrible fire in a shopping center on North Middletown Road in Pearl River.
Right.
And that fire, which started at a gun range, an indoor gun range, a place called Rise. That fire, which the origin is still apparently unknown, that took down a Dollar General, it took down a Dunkin' Donuts, and it took down that the gun store as well, the gun range as well. It has left that shopping center still, as of yesterday, without electricity. I understand there is accessibility to water, but all of the merchants along that strip mall have smoke and fire damage. And
so the remaining section, though, there's a pizza place there, right? There's, I think, a dry cleaner or a nail place. There's also Retro Fitness, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right. So all of those, plus the deli, Luigi's deli is there, and even though they didn't burn down. For example, I spoke with the pizza shop owner yesterday. I stopped by, and she's dealing with all kinds of smoke, and the place has to be cleaned. Everything has to be thrown away.
Right.
One store over, Luigi's, actually, the deli, has the tiles on the ceiling have to come down. So, the good news was that there was a firewall between I think it was between the Dunkin' Donuts and the the dry cleaners.
Right.
But the smoke seeps through, and there's just great damage.
Certainly could have been much worse.
Luckily no one was killed.
Or really injured, too injured. Yeah, right.
Right.
Some minor injuries.
Right. There were firefighters had to be taken to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Smoke inhalation. So there were no fatal injuries, and this happened. Although it did happen in the middle of the day, not this past weekend, but last weekend. So yeah, the good news is that nobody was killed. The hardship is for three businesses have now disappeared. Two of those are franchises, so people are unable, to go to work, and they're going to have to rely on rebuilding and insurance, and that's a headache nobody really wants. But the interesting thing about this story, what I was going to connect it to, is so in a town like Pearl River, you see the Pearl River Chamber step up and try to help, raise funds and help the merchants. And it once again shows something that we all know, and that is the importance of chambers of commerce to play a supporting role for merchants in good times and bad. And that is a segue for me to talk about the case, the lawsuit that Pearl River Chamber is still embroiled in We have been reporting on this. You may or may not be familiar with it, but let me refresh everybody's memory on this. So, 4 former directors were sued in a $1 million defamation suit by the former treasurer. Now, just in a slight coincidence here, that former treasurer, Michelle Worab, is also the owner of Luigi's Deli in that shopping center.
Okay.
That is just a strange coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the suit began because there were these 4 directors, and they decided to leave the chamber, and there was a lot of internal fighting over the state of the books, of how the treasurer handled the books, and there was a lot of I guess vitriol back and forth, and ultimately the chamber decided to do an audit, and we decided to publish our first story back in February. And what followed that was that Worab filed a $1 million defamation suit. Now, 2 of those defendants have already been released from the suit. The suit carries on, but the Pearl River Chamber itself became embroiled in the suit when one of the defendants filed I think it's called a cross motion. I'm forgetting the legal jargon right now, but because he wanted, as a former member, he felt that the Pearl River Chamber's insurance company should indemnify him in the lawsuit, and so it became like a lawsuit within a lawsuit. And that went back and forth, and ultimately the former directors they prevailed, and the insurance company is paying their legal fees. But that lawsuit goes on, and those legal wranglings will go on, and who knows how long that will go on. The way litigation always just seems to go on and on forever. But the important thing is the attorney who is representing the chamber, said, and we put him on the record, that basically the chamber is collapsing under the weight of this burden, his quote. And he said, it's quote, it is becoming increasingly difficult for the chamber to focus on its mission. And so, here we have two stories, one about a fire at a local shopping center and the need for the community to band together. And on the other side of the fence, we have the chamber itself that is in the throes of that has become embroiled in this lawsuit. And it says there are two lessons. One is that chambers of commerce are public-facing organizations, and they do have a higher responsibility than perhaps maybe just a typical small nonprofit to run a professional operation, okay? The other is how vital they are to the community. So just, I think we have 7 or 8 chambers of commerce throughout the county, and they're important organizations. We all know that, right?
Right.
And so it's just kind of not a warning so much, but just, it's a reminder that one of the important things is that why one of the defendants was released, actually, one of the decisions that the Judge Paul Marks made was that the former treasurer was actually a public figure. And so here, in a sense, he's saying, Chamber of Commerce's, you have a higher responsibility than maybe a small nonprofit that gets together and maybe does its books and it's not that professional. When it comes to being a chamber, you have a greater responsibility. So bottom line is, chambers of commerce, important organizations. They come to the aid of merchants at difficult times. but they're also public-facing organizations, and they carry the burden of having of having to be professional, and responsible. So.
And that's certainly something we'll keep an eye on through your coverage of that as well at rcbizjournal.com. Before we let you go, Tina, we do have a caller on the line with a question for you, so let's do that real quick.
Okay.
Hi, you're on with Tina Traster. Who's this?
This is Gracie. Hello, Tina. I'm on your website, and I do like to find out what's going on. But I just want to ask you something. Did somebody steal money? That's what I don't understand. They got mad and somebody sued somebody because they were insulting? Is that it, or was money stolen?
No, nobody is alleging any kind of criminality. It really stems from the former directors being upset with the way the treasurer handled the books. The audit ultimately, and you can look at the story, the audit ultimately cleared the former treasurer, Michelle Warb, said that there was certainly nothing criminal there. It does point out that there are checks that have been written to cash that don't have explanations, and there are some side notes that do say that the books need to be handled more professionally. But this never rose, and even the former directors, in discussing the case, nobody ever, this never rose to a level of criminality. It's just that, the books were, they just weren't up to speed professionally, and, this thing kind of spun out of...
Right. Tina, this should have been handled between them, among them, and
exactly.
That's an absolute.
That's exactly right.
Goodness. Listen,
the shame of it is that, and I mean, I don't know what the temperament of the players are really, but it's unfortunate that somebody could not have come in and kind of brokered peace amongst these unhappy parties. It escalated. It went too far. $1 million defamation suit. I mean, that's pretty extreme. But that's where it went. And so it's kind of like just a lesson and a warning to Chambers to dot your I's and cross your T's.
And everybody should stay calm. This sounds real personal. And on that note, I'll say goodbye.
Goodbye, Gracie.
Thank you, Gracie. And of course, you can tune in and find out every Monday morning at this time, 9:15, what's going on, and the pages of the Rockland County Business Journal. That's at rcbizjournal.com. You can sign up for newsletters there and all sorts of good stuff there. And so, Tina, we thank you for joining us as always.
All right. Have a great week, you guys.